This is Money Motivation and Mike, and I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of the mothership is Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that will change your life. You can contact us at info@mx3.vip and find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@MX3 Podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which comes out every Monday morning. And Jason, apparently everybody is hitting that bell icon and doing those subscriptions. As we were about to come onto the air, Jason always gives me the statistics, and we had 18,273 YouTube subscribers. Before we started recording, that number had went to 18,322, virtually up 50 subscribers in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes.
Well, it's now 341.
Thank you, listeners and viewers, for everything you continue to do, which is most importantly is without you, we would not have a show and we'd just be sitting here talking to ourselves. You also gave me something here that's interesting, and you know, it is a political year. It is an election year. I guess every year is political. Excuse me. It is an election year. And we had the young lad, Braden Wright, on this show here a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about local politics, which I had explained to you. Yes, we're talking about a specific city in this topic, but the local politics are the same in every small and big city around the country. And lo and behold, over the last 28 days, Local Politics with Braden Wright is our biggest, highest viewed episode. Interesting. Now, behind that, which is really surprising me, was the evolution of the NCAA tournament March Madness, Jason. Mm-hmm. And Congress set to vote on TikTok was 3. That tells you we got a lot of TikTok listeners and viewers. And the history of the Masters was 4. So, once again, thank you. And we'll continue to try to bring you content that's uplifting to you and exciting and changing your life and maybe the way that you think about things on a regular daily basis. Now, I've been telling you guys for a couple of weeks that I want to talk about the end of tax season and give you some goodies. And frankly, we've delayed enough on that episode to get even more stats that the Internal Revenue Service has now put out. So today I'm going to talk about what has happened over the last 90 to 100 days with tax season going on. And these statistics are as of April 15th, 2024. So here we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare what we've done in 2024 versus 2023 as a tax-paying society that we have in the United States of America. Now, remember, when I'm talking about 2024 statistics, I'm actually talking about the 2023 tax returns. And when we're talking about the 2023 tax year, it's actually the 2022 tax year of those tax returns. So just remember that as we're going through this. So as of April 15th, in 2023, the IRS had processed 71,861,000 tax returns. This year, 71,587,000. So down almost right at 280,000 actual returns that have been processed less than last year. Now, excuse me. Let me restate that. That's the returns that have been received. Returns that have been received. Okay? Returns that have been processed for 23 was 71,455,000. This year, 70,569,000. That's down 900,000 tax returns. Now, no matter how many returns come into the Internal Revenue Service at all the different service centers around the country, how could they process 900,000 less tax returns this year versus last year? When they've talked about, the IRS, have added supposedly more agents. Now, those may be field agents, but they're always putting more staff, office staff, on the books. But somehow they have processed almost 900,000 less tax returns than they did as of 1 year ago. Interesting. Total e-filing. We know e-filing over the last 20 years has been at the top of the list. But think about this. Tax professionals, such as ourselves at M.W. Wright and Company, 34,880,000 tax professional tax returns e-filed so far. Individuals going on and self-preparing their tax return through the IRS website, through a TurboTax or someone like that. 34,664,000. So you can add those two together and you can see that you're right at 69,500,000 tax returns that have been e-filed. Of the 71,587,000 that have been received by the Internal Revenue Service. So you only have 2 million people that have sent in paper tax returns. Interesting. Total number of refunds. 2024, 70,569,000 tax returns have been processed, and 49,145,000 have been refunds. As of April 15th, the Internal Revenue Service has refunded $152.767 billion in refunds. Sounds like a lot of money. At this time last year, the Internal Revenue Service had issued $158,096,000 billion in refunds. Okay, that's down $6 billion in refunds. That's $6 billion less in the economy. Maybe that's due to the fact that they have processed 900,000 less returns this year than they had at this time last year. Average refund amount. 2023 was $2,933. This year, $3,109. Up about $80 from, up about $180 from this time last year on the average tax return refund. Total number of direct deposits. Now, this is interesting because I've told you that tax returns processed by the Internal Revenue Service is down 900,000. And I've also talked about who have e-filed, and that difference in what has been processed versus what has been e-filed is only down 1 million tax returns. But the number of direct deposit refunds, last year, 50,940,000 direct deposit refunds. This year, 47,425,000. That's 3.5 million tax returns less for direct deposit. That's 6.9% less people who are wanting their money direct deposit in their checking account. Now, my belief on that, and the driving factor is that the general John Q public out there thinks that they do not want the Internal Revenue Service to know their checking account number. Not realizing this naive world we live in, they can get anything they want on you anytime they want it. But 3.5 million less direct deposit refunds versus this time last year. All right. The amount of refunded by direct deposit last year was 153.8 billion. This year, 150.667 billion. And the average direct deposit refund, $3,177. Last year it was $3,019. All right. So the direct depositors are getting back about $65 more than the people who are getting it by mail. I don't know. Maybe they want to get their money back a little quicker than the average person. And direct deposit and e-filing is a quicker route. And frankly, in this day and age, it's a more safer route than sticking all your information in the mail and putting a stamp on it, for sure. All right. Now, this is going to upset some people because everybody out there thinks they pay all the tax. Everybody out there is overtaxed. Everybody out there pays too much tax. And everybody out there believes that the wealthy don't pay their share. And in this particular case, when I'm talking about the wealthy, I'm talking about the top 1% money earners in the United States of America. All right. Let's go back over here and look. Through April 15th, 70,569,000 tax returns have been processed by the Internal Revenue Service. Of those, 1,535,899 have been processed for the top 1% money earners in the United States. Their average tax rate is 25.9%. Okay? Now let's go over here and let's look at the bottom 50%, not the bottom 1%, the half of the general public. Pays taxes, files taxes. 76,794,000 returns. Okay? Versus 1,535,000. I said that wrong. 70,794,000. The bottom half of the taxpayers in the United States of America paid on average, Jason, 3.3% of their earnings to income taxes. And the bottom half believe they pay all the tax. Okay. Average income taxes paid by the top 1%, $653,730 per tax return of 1,535,899 tax returns. The average income tax paid by the bottom half of the taxpayers in the United States of America, $667. All right. So how does that happen? Well, you think about it. Families out here making $40,000, $50,000 a year, married filing jointly right off the bat. They have a $27,000 deduction for, and I'm rounding numbers, for married filing jointly on their standard deduction. Then they have some kids that are under 17. They're getting $2,000 child tax credits for each child they have. And all those things bring down your tax. And the bottom 50%, $667 is all they paid. Now, here's how that works with the adjusted gross income. Adjusted gross income is where you pay your income tax. That's the number you pay it off of. Okay. The bottom half's adjusted gross income, where I'm talking about where they made their money and then they had all their deductions, ended up paying tax on $1,531. The top 100% money earners end up paying tax on $3,872,395 per tax return. This is straight off the Internal Revenue Service statistics that I am fortunate enough to get to receive. So 1% versus the bottom 50%. And I could even go farther and talk about the top 50%. And let me just throw some of those out at you. The bottom, as I've already said, their average tax rate is 3.3%. The top 50% is 16.2%. That is 5 times the amount of tax from bottom to top. Bottom 50 pays $667 in tax. The top 50% pays $27,891 in tax. So there's another example of you thinking, well, those top money earners, they should pay it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, let's just take the other half. You got bottom 50, you got top 50. These are astonishing numbers, and there is a big difference in this particular category as well, where, as I said, adjusted gross income, the money you pay tax on, bottom 50%, $1,531 is all you pay tax on. The top 50%, $131,091. Okay, think about that the next time you are griping and complaining about who pays all the tax when you think that you do. All right, let's look at this right here. We're going to go back, and the IRS has just recently released their 2021 data. Okay. This is the year they released they released the 19 and 20 data in 2021 and then figured out it wasn't correct after all of the relief programs and the PPPs and the stimulus and all these things. All right. So now they have put this together, the pandemic related numbers. Okay. The adjusted gross income by the bottom half of our taxpayers from 2020 pandemic, okay, to 2021 went up 20%. So that means that it was down so far. You had all these people not making money and not bringing in income, that when we went to 2021 tax year, their adjusted gross income went up 20%. All right. The top half taxpayers saw an increase. Now, once you think about this, now I'm using different years here. From 20 to 21, bottom half taxpayers, their adjusted gross income went up 20% because it fell that far during the pandemic. Then we go over here and we look at another thing. The top half taxpayers saw their adjusted gross income increase 7% from 2019 to 2020. The top half increased their income during the pandemic. I testify that to two reasons. The top half money earners found ways to make money and take advantage, and advantage is an ugly word, to benefit off the pandemic. We're in this tough time. How can I still make money? All right. The bottom half decided to sit on the couch and wait for the stimulus check, hope that their company would give them some money. And a lot of companies did. And unemployment was at an all-time high, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why they grew so much, the bottom half, from 20 to 21. And the top half saw an increase in income from 2019 to 2020 because they continued to prosper during the pandemic. That's astonishing to me. All right. All of their fruits and labors that they established in 2020, when a whole lot of people, the bottom half, weren't doing a whole lot. I told you I was going to hack some people off today, Jason. From 20 to 21, remember, you plant, you plant and then you reap. So the top 50% planted in 2020 and increased their income by 7%. So they planted in 20. So what happened in 21? The top half's adjusted gross income went up 17%. So from 19 to 21, those who were interested in making $1 continued to make $1. Frankly, it was easier during the pandemic to make money than it was on regular times. Less competition, more creativity. Your ideas get you to where you are, the vision. And when I read that, there ain't no way. And it is a way. Right from the Internal Revenue Service. People making money during the pandemic while everybody else is upset and aggravated because the world's coming to an end, shut down, the government shut me down, shut down my business, blah, blah, blah. And those who wanted to make are the ones that always make and will continue to always make. Those who go out and do something with their life and go out and do something and quit blaming their problems and their issues on somebody else. And most of the time, it's the federal government, the local government, the state government, whomever. Now, I also want to show you here, because I have these stats as well, of how the United States of America's income has grown over the last 40 years. Because these statistics go all the way back to 1981. So I used 1981. Here is an example of how we have grown. In 1981, there was roughly 94 million tax returns processed. 1991, it was 113 million. Actually, 114 million rounding up. Okay. 2001, it was 119 million. 2011, 136 million. And in 2021, 154 million tax returns processed. That's how these numbers continue to rise. The United States of America has basically went up 80% in people paying taxes over the last 40 years, from 1981 to 2021. To me, Jason, that shows a lot of growth, and it also shows that people are paying taxes. And I know a whole lot of those are not the top 1% money earners in the world, but we continue to grow. And when we're talking about this border stuff and illegals coming in and the whatever else it is that is going on, you think about that. A lot of those people don't file tax returns, which is one of the big deals. You don't pay taxes, you come in here and you get our benefits. And I'm all about that stance being taken for sure, because I am not about free loads. I am not about something for free. You earn what you get. Unfortunately, our programs are not set up for that. The lower you go, the more money we'll give you. And you may not live the lifestyle that the top 1% live, the top 0.5% live, but it's a lifestyle that you're okay with because you don't have to do anything. And that's how our programs are set up. So what that also tells you is more and more tax returns, basically 60 million more tax returns have been filed per year since 1981 versus 2021. So more money going in the pot to give out more to the deadbeats of the world. That's what it says to me. Because we continue to go farther and farther in debt every day. So how is the more money that we're bringing in off taxes paying us down? We're not. Because we continue to give it away and send billions of dollars over our borders. Another topic, another day. All right. Now, let me continue on here with one more statistic before we call this episode today. I just think that's crazy how these numbers have grown and what that means to the United States of America. So let me end you with this. Now, I told you about the average amount of tax that people pay on the bottom half. And then I told you about the average on the top. So now we're going to go to the average as a whole. This is once again going to continue to make my point on the comments I just made. In 1981, the average adjusted gross income was $1,791. Every tax return that came in, the average was $1,791. That's all we paid tax on as tax-paying citizens in 1981. And that number grew to $3,516 in 1991. So it doubled. Then we go to 2001. $6,116. Didn't double, but probably went up right at 80%. From 2001 to 2011, it only went up $2,200, $6,100 to $8,317. All right. Now, you saw that growth right there, Jason. And then you saw it slow down from 2000 to 2011. From 2011 to 2021, the number went from $8,317 to $14,722. So we're paying tax as a society in 1981 on $1,791. As of 2021, and you know the number has grown, we were paying tax on $14,722. That's up 7 times, 700%. And we don't have enough money. you need to remember this. And we started that off with our number one episode over the last 28 days being the local politics of Braden Wright, who, by the way, has an election coming up. Early voting is going on right now for most local elections going on around the United States, with the big day coming on May 4th. A lot of your city and school district elections are coming up here in the next couple of weeks. But nevertheless, this topic of politics shows up. And then we go over here and we look how much our adjusted gross income, the money you pay tax on, has went up over the last 40 plus years. We don't have any money. And that's why every vote counts. That's why everybody has to go to the polls and vote. You cannot complain and you cannot gripe if you don't go vote. You got to get yourself out there. And if you don't like what's going on, get involved. Any age. It's never too late. It's also never too early. Get involved, continue to make your presence felt, and don't think that, well, my vote doesn't count. Because if everybody thought that, there wouldn't be anybody voting. And at the end of the day, we need everybody to vote. You have a right. There are lots and lots of countries around this world that the citizens don't get to vote. The people at the top make all the decisions. Those top 100 money earners, those top 1% money earners make all the decisions around the world. Here, whether you make $1 or you make 6 million, your vote counts the same. So when it comes to doing those things, you need to go out and do it. Money Motivation and Mike, I believe, continues to bring you topics and content that is very, very interesting to you as your numbers, you, the listening and viewing audience continue to show us that. And we really appreciate those things. And as always, we'd love to hear from you at info@mx3.vip. And, of course, finding all our content at mx3.vip. And, of course, on our YouTube channel, which continues to grow on a minute-by-minute basis, actually, youtube.com/@mx3 Podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, of which Jason puts out basically every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. So once again, for everyone who's been a part of this show, Money Motivation and Mike, continue to live your life the right way.